about the action taker archetype?
Well, the action taker is our name for the archetype that's traditionally been known as the warrior. Our action taker is where our power and agency lies. This is the part of us that can step up and take the action needed for us to achieve our goals. This is the part of us that can really stand up for us and speak our truth. This is the part of us that can do the difficult thing, even if it might risk the disapproval of others. This is the part of us that's always able to put us first, to protect us, to defend us, to stand up for us. Our action taker has integrity and is trustworthy. Our action taker responds to the commands of the heart-centered leader and lives in service to the desires and the vision of our heart-centered leader.
So perhaps next you could tell us about the yin and the yang aspects of the action taker.
Well, the yang aspect of the action taker is the part of us that wants to grow, wants us to go out and expand the boundaries and really step forward in life. Whereas the yin aspect of the action taker is the part of us that wants to protect and defend what's within our boundaries. If you think of a lioness protecting her cubs, then you've got a good example of the yin aspect of the action taker.
And next, can you tell us about the key emotion for the action taker?
Well, the key emotion for the action taker is anger. We believe that anger is the emotion that we need to be able and willing to feel if we're going to unlock the door to this powerful side of ourselves. It's not that we're angry all the time that we're stepping up powerfully in the world, but it's as though we need to be able to feel our anger and listen to that so that we can take the action required. It's like our anger is a warning sign that something's getting in our way or somebody's stepping over our boundaries. And we need to be able to listen to that warning sign so that we can take the appropriate action.
And could you tell us about the animal instinct for the action taker?
Well, the animal instinct here is the territorial instinct. It's the instinct of claiming and marking our territory and the instinct of protecting and defending our territory. And as with all these animal instincts, we believe, even if we're a little uncomfortable with them, it's better not to cut them off and put them away into shadow where they can rule us from behind the scenes, but rather to bring these aspects out and get to know these sides of ourselves, get to know the parts of us that feel territorial. And then we can have conscious control over them. We can decide that maybe it's appropriate at times to protect and defend our boundaries, for example. But we can also decide when we don't want to behave like that and when we feel it's not appropriate.
And what are the conversational patterns that are associated with the action taker?
Well, the action taker is able to set our boundaries in a really healthy and open way. It's not okay with me. That didn't work for me. We can do this clearly and calmly. If our action taker is out of balance in some way, we may set really harsh or cruel boundaries, or we may cut off from people completely. On the other hand, we may not set any boundaries at all and just let ourselves be completely walked over.
And what might wound this action taker energy and cause it to go into shadow?
Well, the message that really wounds our action taker is the message that we don't exist, that we're not real somehow, or we don't exist as a separate person, separate from anybody else. We can get this message in childhood if our boundaries are constantly crossed and invaded, and we don't get the sense of who we are and this is me and this is not me. But we can also get this message in childhood when we're abandoned or neglected. It's like we need other people to bump up against, to find out about our boundaries. And if we're abandoned or neglected, we have no one to bump up against, and we don't get the sense that we really exist.
So can you tell us what kind of shadows are associated with the action taker archetype?
Well, if we get this message that we don't exist, then one option is to inflate and really improve that we exist. We can be really combative and argumentative and butting up against people, very confrontational. We can be desperate to be right. Anything just to prove our existence. And this can inflate into something really quite cruel and abusive. We can have fits of rage and physical violence towards other people. We can also really blank people. We can stonewall people and not listen to other people's feelings or thoughts, not take them into account at all. Another way we can inflate in our action taker is to become a bit of a workaholic, to just do, just to kind of prove our existence. But this isn't work with a purpose. This is just work for work's sake. We're not following the will of the heart-centered leader. We're simply working and working and working to no particular end. So the other alternative to inflation is that we can deflate and we can completely believe that we just don't exist. We're not really real. So then we don't set our boundaries. We don't stand up for ourselves. We can believe that we just don't have anger at all. We can become very victim-y. We can not keep our commitments because we just don't believe we matter. So others can see us as flaky. We can develop passive-aggressive behaviors as a way to try to set our boundaries because we're not able to just set them clearly and openly.
So could you tell us what the healing message is for the action taker archetype, and what tools do you use to bring this energy back into balance?
Well, the healing message is, you matter. You're important to me. I see you. If we can really take in that message, we can begin to heal any wounded action taker energy. And the tool that we use to work with this in shadow work is helping you to set boundaries so that you can really feel into the power and agency of this side of yourself. And we believe it's really important in a therapeutic environment to use anger to help you set a boundary. As we said, anger's the gateway emotion for this archetype. It is the key that unlocks the door to our power and agency. So we believe there's some kind of anger gateway that you need to go through so that you can really feel and get to know this side of yourself. So we can support you in going through that gateway in a safe way where you don't get hurt and nobody else gets hurt. So you can feel this powerful side of yourself and have the experience of setting as many boundaries as you want for yourself. And that way your action taker energy can heal. And when you go out into the world, you'll feel that power and agency without needing to use any excessive anger or excessive force. You can just feel it naturally as a part of yourself.